Hey gang, welcome to Helsinki, Finland. I have just spent 2 days in Helsinki and I wanted to show you my highlights. The city is absolutely beautiful and very calm and relaxed. Well, it probably helped that we are in June, so that's some of the longest days of the year, and it's really warm. It was 24 degrees Celsius today. Helsinki is very modern. There's a lot of interesting design and architecture. There's also a lot of Art Nouveau. Before to come, I had heard that Finland was expensive. To be honest, probably not that much, but when you come from London, anywhere in Europe is actually decent. There's a lovely market by the old port. If you do have any street food, though, be careful with the seagulls. Some of them are very violent. I've seen them flying into people to steal their food. It's probably a completely different experience if you come in the winter, but in spring, Helsinki is absolutely stunning. All across town, and probably all over Finland, you can spot those little white creatures. They're called the moomins. They might not ring a bell to you. Actually, the friend that's here with me did not recognize them. But they do remind me of my childhood because obviously I was a kid in the 90s. And the Moomins, they were one of my favorite cartoons actually. Before to come here, I never realized that they were Finnish. But yes, they were created here in Helsinki in the 90s. Finland used to be part of the Swedish crown. So Swedish is actually a language that's spoken quite a lot. And if you look at the street names, they're actually written in Swedish as well as in Finnish. You might even see a picture of an animal, because before to be able to read, people used to name them after animals. And all over Helsinki, there's some massive rabbits, urban rabbits, or they might be hares, I don't know. Apparently, they escaped in the 80s or 90s. They used to be domestic, and they're all over town. Out of 2 days, I have spotted 4. Well, I find them amazing, but I suppose anyone visiting London, they might find it amazing to have some urban foxes. In terms of ecology and saving the planet, I do find that Finland is a little bit more advanced than we are in the UK. I have been given, for example, pens that were made with paper instead of plastic, or even my card key at the hostel, it's made out of paper rather than plastic. And if you buy yourself a can out of a supermarket, a can or a bottle, you'd actually pay a little deposit. So far, it has been 10 or 15 cents of a euro. And then you can bring the can to the very same supermarket, or any supermarket actually, pop it in a machine, and the machine is gonna, well, recycle it, but it'll give you a little ticket, a little receipt that you can bring back, and then you get your money back. In terms of religion, Finland is about 61% Protestant, so Lutheran. So some of the churches are very plain, almost minimalist. 1% of the population is Orthodox. So those churches would be a little bit more decorated. And there's also about 30% of the population that do not belong to a church. It is probably because you have to pay to belong to a church. The best thing about visiting Finland in June is that at midnight, like on the clip now, it's still kind of bright. That's kind of cool. You still have daylight at midnight. Now, let's talk about food. The Finns do not seem to be particularly proud of their cuisine. You don't really see many Finnish restaurants across the globe. They do have some very interesting products though. They have some amazing pastries and salmon soups. But I guess it's fair to say that the most exotic product, it is reindeer meat, as well as bear meat. They also have some very smart items, like this little brush here to clean your shoes when you come out of a muddy walk. And if you have a bit of spare time, there's an amazing island very close to Helsinki that you can go and visit. It's called Suomenlinna. I hope I pronounced this right. I guess probably not. There are a lot of very fancy cruises taking you around the area and taking you to the island, but you can actually go to Suomenlinna with a normal ferry, like you'd jump on a bus or on a tram. It would cost you €3.10 one way. If you do indeed want to pay, I find that the transport system here is very much, well, it works on trust, let's say. There's hardly anyone checking if you ever buy any tickets. And that is pretty much the same with a lot of establishments like museums and stuff. I mean, if you decide not to go to the till, you could walk straight in. We have done that by accident. But yeah, it's kind of, I guess the Finns are very honest. If you were caught not paying for the tram or the buses, the penalty would be 80 euros though. But I have not seen any inspectors so far. This little island used to be a fort. Helsinki was built as a port. At the time, the main port in the area was actually Tallinn in Estonia, across the water. And in the 1700s, where the Swedish were in charge here, they built an amazing fort on this little island to protect themselves, mainly against the Russian, really. And later on, when Russia was in power, they actually took over the fort here. And according to some, this little beach here on the island is the smallest beach in the world, 6 meters. I'm not convinced. I'm pretty sure I've seen some smaller one elsewhere on the globe, but hey-ho. So Finland remained Russian until the Russian Revolution, really. So until 1906, that's when really Finland became the country that it is today. And the Finnish language, it's very complicated. It's not really similar to any of the other Scandinavian languages. It is very different. It's actually the same category of languages as Estonian and Hungarian. It's apparently very complicated to learn. I don't know whether you can ever sound like a native. And I cannot do a video about Helsinki without talking about saunas. Sauna, it's actually a Finnish word, and we have 2 million sauna in Finland. If you looked at the eye on the video there, the big wheel, one of the capsules, it's actually a sauna. So 2 million saunas for 5 million people in the country. And you are expected to get into the saunas in the nude, otherwise we'd look at you funny. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed these little snippets of Helsinki.